Is there objective truth? Does anyone hold the answers to our longing and despair?
Muhammad the Prophet.
Arguably the most
human emotions.
Reverend Graham.
They arise from somewhere within us. Where is that somewhere?
Is this the end of the age?
When the disciples came to Jesus on the Mount of Olives, and they asked him for signs of the end of the age, he said that there would be earthquakes in various places, there would be famines, and there would be pestilences. Of course, we see that there are major earthquakes that are increasing at an alarming rate in the last few years. Earthquakes of great magnitude. Of course, in the earlier years, people say, well, they've always had earthquakes. True. But we are now seeing an increase in major earthquakes, and thus we need to realize that these earthquakes that are shaking the world are a part of the whole prophetic scheme.
Earthquakes with a magnitude of 8.0 or greater on the Richter scale are classified as great by the USGS. These are enormous quakes, and if we chart the frequency of these great quakes during the last 30 years, we note a significant increase. However, due to the relatively short period of accurate tracking, we are not able to establish conclusive trends, but we can say for certain that this generation is witnessing great earthquakes.
When one looks at a geophysical map of the Earth, it appears like planet Earth is a hard-boiled egg that's been dropped on the floor too many times. There are many different plates called tectonic plates that tend to move one alongside of the other. And it's along these areas of movement, the tectonic plate lines, that a major part of the earthquake activity occurs. And it's also interesting to note that it's along these areas where the majority of the world's populations are located. And when we look to the scriptural account in the future, when the Bible tells us that the cities will fall, it's interesting to note that these major cities are located along these tectonic plate lines.
In Revelation chapter 11, verse 18, we read, "The nations were angry, and your wrath has come, and should destroy those who destroy the earth." God knew that man, left unchecked in his selfishness and greed, would eventually destroy the earth. And we watch as man continues to ravage the environment, giving no concern for the future generation. It is a matter of fact that this generation has done more to destroy planet Earth than any generation before. Consider one statistic. According to Al Gore in his book Earth in the Balance, we are exponentially destroying thousands of animal, bird, and fish species each year. This destructive trend began during our current generation.
By the time we get into the middle of the next century, a magnitude of heat wave or a drought that we might have only experienced once in the 20th century, we might be experiencing once every 10 years.
This generation is witnessing tremendous environmental destruction, not due to population growth, but rather to a selfish and gluttonous society that has polluted our water, air, and land, all under the banner of progress and advancement.
One of the things that concerns people today is to see the erratic changes that are taking place in weather. Almost every day when we turn on the television or read the newspapers, we find that something is taking place in the world where there is a great catastrophe occurring. These are exactly the kinds of things that Jesus talked about, the warning signs which would indicate that the time of his return was soon.
Several prophetic references are made that imply an increase in chaotic weather in the last days. Jesus said, "For in those days there will be tribulation, such as has not been since the beginning of creation." And the Apostle Paul writes that the whole creation groans and labors with birth pangs, eagerly awaiting the redemption. Just as a woman's birth pangs increase in frequency and strength as the time of delivery draws near, so too, the Bible tells us, the creation will groan and labor with increased frequency. Even the Apostle John in the book of Revelation writes of noises, thunderings, lightnings, earthquakes, hail, and fire during Earth's final days. The following quote was taken from the December 1994 issue of World Watch. A collection of press reports compiled by the environmental group Greenpeace from 6 continents between 1990 and 1994 displays a remarkable litany of the highest floods, longest droughts, most severe wildfires, and worst heat waves ever recorded. They go on to say that since the late 80s, hurricanes have struck various parts of the world with alarming frequency.
So these are all signs of the soon return of Jesus Christ.